Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host for today. And today is Mighty Men Thursday, open mic. Oh, and Jay Smooth, he is on it. He is already in the building. He says, "Good morning, beautiful Black American family." Good morning to you, Jay Smooth. Thank you so much for joining the live stream on YouTube. And yes, you can see us live on Facebook, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. So this morning, we're going to jump right in and talk about the big, beautiful bill. And it has passed through the Senate. Now it's going back to the House because there were some changes that the Senate made. One of them being they did decide to remove the AI provision, right? But now here's the concern going back into the House. Are they going to just put it back in, right? And then are we going to be at a stalemate? So it's very interesting to see what is going to happen next. And thank you, Riddle Me This, for reposting the stream that's up live on X. So again, we're going to get into part of it that another, let's see, guest on my show, Karen Kennedy, she actually has some experience in, and this is the Medicaid provision. So I have a video that I would like to share with you guys where she shared her experience, right, working with the federal government on some of these provisions. And this is prior to Trump being in office. And I think she has a very good breakdown and information just to let us know a little bit more. Because a lot of times these politicians, and I hate to say it, it's a lot of fear mongering on both sides, right? With the Republicans and the Democrats. And so this is why I'm taking time to look at the bill, because I want you guys to actually see the provisions in it, what's changing, what's updating, and some of the concerns you have. So if you do have any concerns that you'd like me to look up in this bill, as we are here on this, let's just say 4th of July Eve, let me know and we can look it up and go over it right here. Or if there are any men out there for Mighty Men Thursday that would like to join me here on stage on the live, let me know and I can send you the link to join the show. So here, without further ado, is the video that Karen Kennedy has posted on X.
Straight, because I'm sick of these videos on TikTok with these individuals screaming and screeching about how they're going to get thrown off Medicaid. It hasn't happened yet, but the crank far left and the Democrats are screeching about what's going to happen. The number they seem to have reached is 17 million. 17 million people are going to get thrown off Medicaid. 17 million, 17 million, 17 million. Okay, shut up. Look, I was with HHS during the time when Joe Biden was squatting in the White House, and this was during the time of the pandemic. During that time, everybody qualified for Medicaid. Don't turn anybody down. Everybody could get on Medicaid, and it ballooned to an unmanageable system with unmanageable economic impact. So they did what was called the unwinding. I was in the meetings with the region partners because we were getting people ready for the unwinding. The unwinding meant if you are not truly eligible for Medicaid, you're going to get kicked off. This isn't the pandemic time anymore. You're going to have to get Medicaid or another form of medical insurance. So it's the same thing happening right now. It's just a different time. But I didn't see all of the freaking out like I'm seeing right now, but literally the same thing happened under Joe Biden. There were news stories like this one I'm going to share with you from AP. Headline: the Biden administration is slow to act as millions are booted off Medicaid, advocates say. This was 13 November 2023. Up to 30 million of the poorest Americans could be purged from the Medicaid program. Oh, sounds like the same thing that they're saying now, right? Many the result of error-ridden state reviews. that poverty experts say the Biden administration is not doing enough to stop. The projections from the health consulting firm Avalier come as states undertake a sweeping reevaluation of the 94 million people enrolled in Medicaid, government's health insurance for the neediest Americans. How is that different from what's going on now? Don't worry, I'll wait. How is it different? It is redetermining eligibility for those who are actually qualified under the Medicaid program. There are those who are going to get thrown off Medicaid. You damn straight. Illegal aliens under the Immigration and Naturalization Act do not qualify for federal benefits. They can be seen at a local hospital if there is an emergency. They have been. They have bankrupted hospital systems, including Denver Health, right here in Colorado, because to them, everything was an emergency. Oh, I stubbed my toe. That's an emergency. I got to go to the emergency room. And they couldn't turn them away. Oh, I have a hangnail. That's an emergency. I'm going to the emergency room and I'm taking all 6 of my kids with me. Everything was an emergency. And when you do stuff like that, you flood the system like Cloward and Piven to bankrupt the welfare system, burn it down and rebuild it in your communist socialist image. This is what? What? So now they're blaming Trump. Oh my God, 17 million people. That's what they keep using. I guess that was the 4 a.m. talking point, 17 million, because that's all I'm hearing from these lazy loser Democrat politicians. 17 million. Okay, well, this was 13 November 2023, and literally the same thing was happening. Let me tell you something. So what's going to happen is illegals are going to be thrown off Medicaid, period, dead ass, because they're not eligible. They are not eligible for federal benefits. Number 2, if you are a single mother, yeah, you're going to have to figure out your shit. And this is actually good for you. You don't want to sit at home for 30 years and do like 3-4 generations of welfare recipients. That shit was the way it was done in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. That shit ain't gonna fly no more. Get up off your lazy ass and learn a career. You can go to school and get grants or go through programs that are free through, there are a lot of programs that are free to those who are struggling. And if you don't know, then contact your local, unemployment office or a job search office. They have that information for you. There's a lot of job training that is not openly advertised, but if you go find the information, you can get started with a career. You're not going to sit at home on Medicaid with all of your freaking kids making TikTok videos in the grocery store with 6 carts anymore, Lucretia or Becky or whoever the heck you are. You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to be part of this functioning society and make your life better. Don't you want your children to see you successful? Okay. That's number 2. Number 3, you're 25 to 30 years old and you're an able-bodied individual, and your only excuse for being on Medicaid and Social Security disability is, oh, I don't get along well with people because of mental health. No, bro. You're going to have to go through some kind of intervention program or counseling or something, but we're not going to keep taking care of you so you can sit at home and cosplay and watch anime all day and night. You're going to have to get up off your monkey ass and get a job like everybody else and contribute to the system. This is a money president, bro. This is a money president. Don't you want to make your life better? You ain't going to be depressed if you got some damn money. You depressed because you're sitting at home and you ain't doing nothing and you ain't got no money. Get up off your ass, learn a career, get a career, find a nice person for yourself, and make your life better. Dude, the opportunities are out here. So those 3 categories, yeah, you're going to have to make some better life choices because things are going to be shuffled around. Now, those who are, if you have young children who are catastrophically ill and you have to stay at home to take care of your children, you're not going to be forced to go back to work. You're, that's not the way this is going. You got a child that's critically ill. You're not going, and the elderly, you're not going to be kicked off Medicaid. You're in a nursing home. They scaring everybody around here. I went to one of these meetings last weekend in a local Colorado town, and they scaring everybody. These poor farmers think they getting thrown off Medicare. You're not getting thrown off Medicare, bro. As long as you qualify for Medicare, you're not getting thrown off. But if you just trying to game the system so you can stay at home and make videos and talk about how you're gaming the system, then you're going to be thrown off. Prepare yourselves. Check yourselves.
I appreciate her so much for making the video, right? And just sharing with people. It's like, hey, it's time to like, get off the couch, as I like to say. Yeah, it's definitely time to get off the couch. And she made some very valid points. And thank you, Unc, for reposting the stream. And Unc wants to say, good morning, family. Please share the space. And please do, so we can have more people come in and get the information that they need. So I do want to share my screen and show you guys. This is a little bit what she was discussing and talking about. So this is actually the revisions and updates that the Senate made, right? So the House had it first. They got to make their updates and changes. But these are some amendments from the Senate. It says this section requires Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to establish a centralized system for states to check whether enrollees are simultaneously enrolled in Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program, which is called CHIP, in multiple states. So what happens is, children, obviously they get older and they may still have that gap coverage from the time they're 18 to maybe 21. But what's happening is they may end up in both systems. So they got to check the systems. That's pretty easy. It says beginning no later than 2027, states must regularly obtain the addresses of Medicaid and CHIP enrollees from specified authorized sources. Beginning no later than fiscal year 2030, states must report on at least a monthly basis the Social Security numbers of enrollees to the CMS newly established system. The CMS must notify states on at least a monthly basis of individuals who are enrolled in multiple states so that states may take appropriate action. So right now that's happening. People are enrolled in multiple states and there's no checks and balances on this. So this is putting in a checks and balances, because this is subpart A, reducing fraud and improving enrollment processes. So as much as Elon Musk says that, he didn't make an impact, he actually did. He made an impact because throughout this bill, you will see sections that do address fraud, waste, and abuse in certain areas where it can be alleviated, especially for the American people. But there was one, excuse me, that I saw. I want to say it's here, section 44108. This section requires Medicaid programs to redetermine every 6 months, beginning on December 31st, 2026, the eligibility of individuals who are enrolled in Medicaid as part of the Medicaid expansion population under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. The act allows states to extend Medicaid coverage to all adults under the age of 65 with incomes of up to 138% of the federal poverty level, including able-bodied adults without dependent children. So I looked into that just to get more context. And so here it is, for federal poverty level eligibility, adults under the age of 65 with incomes up to 138% of the federal poverty level may qualify for Medicaid in states that have expanded their Medicaid programs. So for an example, a single adult in California must make at least $21,597,000 per year to qualify for Medi-Cal California state program, while an individual in Hawaii must earn less. I'm sorry, they have to make less than 21,000. I don't know who's living in California for less than 21,000 a year. Like, that's crazy. They might be living with like maybe 3 or 4 people or more. in a house. In Hawaii, it's less than 24,000. But people that are at that poverty level, right? Those are the individuals that could qualify. And so that's what it's showing us here, but they have to redetermine every 6 months. So they can't just get on it and that's it. They have to requalify at least twice a year. And here is a sub part B, preventing wasteful spending, right? It says this section provides through fiscal year 2033 for the CMS to survey retail and non-retail pharmacies to determine average prices of covered outpatient drugs under Medicaid. Pharmacies that fail to participate in the surveys are subject to civil penalties. So they can no longer just do this, you know, without any oversight. So these are things, like I said, again, I know Elon doesn't think his Doge cuts made an impact on Congress, but actually they did because they are addressing it in this bill in real time. um, Stopping abusive financing practices, right? This section requires states that had not chosen to expand Medicaid pursuant to the Patient Affordable Care Act in March 2021 to do so by January 2026 in order to receive the corresponding enhanced federal matching rate. Okay. This section generally precludes states from instituting new or otherwise increasing Medicaid provider taxes. Specifically, the section precludes the revenue from any Medicaid provider tax that is newly imposed or increased by a state from qualifying the federal matching payments. Increasing personal accountability says this section requires beginning no later than December 31st, 2026, individuals who are eligible for Medicaid as part of the Medicaid expansion population to engage in community service work or other activities in order to qualify for Medicaid. Okay. Specifically, the section requires these individuals on a monthly basis, number one, work at least 80 hours, two, complete at least 80 hours of community service, three, participate in a work program for at least 80 hours, four, be enrolled at least half time in an educational program, or five, engage any combination thereof for at least 80 hours. Individuals may also qualify if they have a monthly income that is at least as much as equivalent of minimum wage multiplied by 80 hours. Okay. All right. I mean, it's not bad. It's not horrible, I should say. And I know Medicaid is one area that I'm drilling down in, but it's at least showing, okay, they are making an effort to say if you want or need these services, right? If you need Medicaid, then you are going to have to get off the couch and participate. You're not just going to sit back and receive benefits without doing any work. And so I wanted to list some of the job services that Karen Kennedy was mentioning. You know, she said, and I, just pulled this up and I said, give me a list of jobs. So USA Jobs is a platform for people with disabilities to find a job in the federal government. They pulled up this career source in Florida. Um, there's Cal Jobs, that's in California. There's the American Job Centers. There's a job accommodation network for individuals with disability. There's the SNAP Employment and Training Program. It helps individuals gain skills to find work and become more independent. There's the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, provides job training services and job opportunities. There's the On the Job Training, offers training from an employer through job training programs or apprenticeships. And then, of course, in California, they've got the California Eligible Training Provider List, and it gives a list of providers and places that have training and education. Now, personally, for me, what I did along with, finishing up schooling is there are certain certifications that I thought, okay, this might be good. And this is one, and it's called Allison.com, and that's Allison with one L. And they actually have free online courses with certificates and diplomas. And you can do these at your own pace. And you can look and see these are just some of the courses that they offer. So IT, health, language, business management, personal development, sales and marketing, engineering, construction, teaching, and academics. And they can actually give you a breakdown of what's popular. So here's some of their more popular courses right now. Health and safety. Let's see. Health and safety hazard identification, introduction to ILO conventions and maritime law, um, let's see, uh, a floton refresher training for teachers. Okay. So, yeah. And like I said, these courses are typically free or have a low fee to pay. And some of the fees that you pay are just to get the certificate or the degree. So this is one area, and this can be done self-paced. It's online. You can sign up for free. I'll definitely add the link when I repost the show. And then another one is called Coursera. Coursera, very similar to Allison.com. And the great thing about Coursera is this is something that you can actually apply to college credits. I actually took one of my college courses in Coursera just to graduate faster when I was working on my bachelor's degree towards getting my master's. And I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity to just kind of fast track my degree instead of, going a whole quarter of a semester or however long it was like I think I took like 16-week programs, however that went. But the great thing about it was, I'm sorry, 8-week program. So I would do 8 weeks and then do another 8 weeks to complete a whole semester. But I could take extra classes if I found the time or had it using Coursera, and it applied to my college degree. Some of these are free. Some of them have a very minimal fee at best. So these are other resources that you can use because there are some fields that do require certification or certificate or some type of degree, and you can get it right here. And it's offered by Vanderbilt University, InfoSec, Microsoft. So these resources are out here. So if you ever hear anybody saying, oh, I can't get a job, I can't do this, I can't do that without going to school, look, the resources are out there. I just shared with you several. So there's no excuses anymore. It's time to get off the couch and get things done. Now, I want to share another video with you guys here, and this is from, I want to say it's called the Justice Warrior or something like that. He's really cool though. He's on YouTube, and I'll make sure to post the link to the full video. But he is actually sharing how certain policies to get people higher wages is actually running businesses off in California. So let's check it out.
Controversial vote at LA City Hall today. The city council approved a massive raise in the minimum wage for many hotel and airport workers in the run-up to the Olympics.
Oops. Let me try that again. There we go. I was like, hold on. It wasn't showing. There we go. Take two.
A very controversial vote at LA City Hall today. The city council approved a massive raise in the minimum wage for many hotel and airport workers in the run-up to the Olympics. Hotel owners call the move a disaster and are threatening to rip up the contracts they signed to host the world during the Summer Games.
Tonight we're hearing from the president for Los Angeles Hotel Group, who says they've decided not to move forward with a $250 million hotel expansion. This after the LA City Council voted to increase the minimum wage for hotel and airport workers to $30 an hour just in time for the 2028 Olympics.
You know, one of the most difficult things about my job is actually making fun of the left. And you guys might think, well, Sean, that's incredibly easy. You just mock them endlessly because they are such a rich target and have a bunch of stupid ass policies that always fail, and they always use the same dumb reasoning for it. But the thing is, it's actually incredibly difficult to parody people who will take your parody, think it's a good policy, and then try to implement it, because that's exactly what happened in the city of Los Angeles. You guys will remember a couple of years ago, there was this fight for $15 minimum wage. And one of the jokes that a lot of people on the right who were opposed to this because it's economically stupid would bring up is, why is $15 your mark? That sounds really cheap. Why not $20? Why not $30? Hell, if we're making other people spend money and the minimum wage has no negative consequences at all whatsoever, why don't you set it at $100? Well, the city of Los Angeles didn't quite get to that number, but they actually recently passed an ordinance that said for hotel workers and for airline employees, their minimum wage by 2028 shall be $30 an hour. And for those of you who are unaware, if that were full-time over the course of a year, that is $60,000, meaning that the Los Angeles City Council, in their infinite wisdom, decided to criminalize full-time employment at hotels and at the airport that pays $58,000, $59,000. That's a crime. That's absolutely horrible. $60K, that is the appropriate amount that you need to pay. Otherwise, you shouldn't even have that job. And of course, there is predictable blowback to this. Projects that were once definitely going to go ahead have been pulled back upon, and the city council is absolutely flummoxed with this idea because they just think it's important that we pay people a living wage. And honestly, according to many of them, if you really think about it, $30 an hour isn't even all the way there. That's a compromise between the dumber part of their brain and the dumb part of their brain. So nobody should be angry about this. Nobody should raise prices. No projects should not go ahead. And of course, absolutely under no circumstances should people lose their jobs, even though we're already seeing that happen as a response to this dumbass wage increase. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The city of Los Angeles somehow spoiling the hotel revenue that they were going to get from the Summer Olympics in 2028 by passing this ridiculous ordinance. But before we do, as someone who doesn't get a minimum wage, as someone who is entirely dependent on you guys out there in the audience, I want to thank my supporters over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, workers obviously really excited about this victory, but the tourism board here in LA warning of dire consequences because of this. So we'll see how it all plays out. But city council members and union leaders say these raises are still barely enough for a living wage in LA. But as I was just mentioning, tourism officials and hotel executives say the increases are going to lead to big cuts in staff, investments in new projects, and could even disrupt the Olympics.
So, of course, the local news reporter talks about this as if it is a big victory for workers. And then he talks about those hotel companies that are warning of dire consequences. And I want to make something 100% clear, as will be presented throughout the course of this video and this local news segment. It's not just the hotel companies that are warning about this. And in reality, this is obvious because every single study on minimum wage has showed the same thing. In fact, the only time that you see an instance where a minimum wage increase, which by its very nature criminalizes certain forms of employment, does not result in people losing their jobs, is when they are able to effectively pass on the cost to consumers. However, in this particular case, it's not just the $30 minimum wage. It is also the added healthcare requirements that add about an extra $7 and some change per hour to these employees in order to work there. And the obvious consequences of this is that for those who remain, they will of course receive more money, but in reality, there are going to be fewer employees. Prices are going to go up. People are going to opt for services like Airbnb. And as we are going to find out, planned projects that seem like they were an absolute lock that already received approval are no longer going to go ahead as a consequence of this, because now they're not economic economically viable. Again, all because some absolute dopes in the city of Los Angeles decided that $59,000 for full-time for a full year, that's oppressive. We need to make that illegal by 2028, because in reality, it's not really enough. In reality, that's not enough for a living wage in Los Angeles. If you can't run a hotel over 60 rooms and pay your employees the equivalent of 37 and change per hour, then you know what? You just have to go out of business, and we're willing to accept those consequences, even though they're absolutely dire and devastating. And of course, these people will blame everything else but the law that they passed when those consequences emerge. And by the way, that $37 number is the wage from 2028 when this fully kicks in, plus the added cost per hour for the healthcare benefits for those of you who are confused.
For years, LA airport and hotel union workers have been demanding big raises. Friday, they scored a major victory. The LA City Council gave final approval for massive minimum wage increases.
8 ayes, 3 noes.
The minimum wage for LA airport and hotel workers is right now around $20 an hour. Starting this summer, the raises kick in. By the time the Olympics arrive, workers will earn $30 an hour. That's a 56% raise over 3 years. During debate over the higher wage ordinance last week at LA City Hall, union workers pleaded their case.
We need at this moment in time, especially with the showcasing of the events that are coming, that the workers who are critical to this industry and to this city also receive the wages that they need.
So look, normally I don't have any issue with unions, because if you want to organize your workforce and negotiate against your employer, and essentially the employer has to meet you halfway, and that leads to better wages and better benefits, I'm totally fine with that private arrangement. But one of the things that bothers me about this particular scenario is that these people who work in hotels are not negotiating with the hotels. They're not forming a union and going after the employer. What they're doing is doing an end around, going to the LA City Council, a bunch of absolute idiots with no skin in the game, and they're demanding a special wage for the employees that will remain. Of course, they're going to lose a lot of employees, and by the way, not just to the just losses in jobs, but also when you set an artificial bar this high for hotel workers, that is going to draw in more competitors from out of the region in order to displace the current workers. So huge portions of the workforce that are out here rallying, saying that they need this minimum wage, are never going to be paid it. And that's not only because of the layoffs that will come, not only as a result of this wage, but as a result of higher prices driving people to alternatives like Airbnb, but it will also be as a result of more qualified, more experienced people chasing that wage and displacing them, because obviously you'd rather substitute, if you have to pay somebody $60,000 a year for this position, somebody who has more experience and is more qualified versus the less qualified counterparts right here. So a lot of
Yeah. And so, to what he's saying, people are going to shoot themselves in the foot because they do have hospitality certifications. They do have hospitality degrees. So what would you rather pay? If you're going to have to pay somebody 60,000 a year, are you going to pay somebody 60,000 a year that can't speak the language? And that does happen. And I'm not, being mean. That does happen. So are you going to pay somebody 60,000 that can't speak the language, number one, who doesn't have a degree, who may be illiterate? They may not actually be able to read and write English at all, but there's a demand to pay them 60,000 a year. These hotels, they're going to have to pass that cost on to the consumer. The West End is already, it's a beautiful hotel. I'm not saying it's a beautiful hotel, luxury line hotel, but if people can't afford to stay there, they're going to lose revenue in business, and they're not going to be able to stay in business. There are just certain jobs that are at a low minimum wage because they're entry-level jobs. They're not career positions. And we've become this society of just entry level. But at the same time, we have people that do have degrees, that are qualified, that aren't hired because they're not going to work for lower minimum wage. So, I mean, what do we do? What do we do? And to his point, this should have been more of a labor to union conversation as opposed to the city council getting involved, because to his point, they do not have any skin in the game. The only skin in the game that they may have is the businesses, right? That they're actually supposed to, I don't want to say stand up for, but businesses come in and they work with the city depending on the taxes and different things that they have and the deals that they make. It's beneficial, right, for the business to be in certain areas of Los Angeles. That's just how it works. And I'm just using Los Angeles as an example. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think people should be paid almost $40 an hour for a job that's $15 an hour? And, you might say, well, that's not fair. They should be doing this and that. It's like, look, it's an entry level position. If you want a higher paying position and job, you should go for that. But these positions are still entry level. And they should not go above $15 an hour. If you don't want to make $15 an hour, don't work there. Get a different job. Learn a different skill, period. But you're going to make it to where there won't be any hotels in Los Angeles in the areas that they need them, because who's going to pay that? And there will be some people that do. But for the people that could have afforded it, they're not going to stay there. And there might be a surge in Airbnbs. This might be the time that entrepreneurs are really able to take advantage of having Airbnb space. But then again, if they invest in it, is there going to be a bubble for them? Because that's happened in certain areas of our country. So this whole wage driving system, it is, like I said, is very, very interesting how they're going about this, but definitely let me know your thoughts. And with that, we're going to take a short break, and I'll see you guys on the other side. And good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And yes, this is a video from Nick Sortor. He is on X. Definitely give him a follow. And I guess he had some questions for Maxine Waters that she really didn't want to answer. Let's see what's going on here.
Harass me. Dude, you tried to get the police on me.
I just have to ask you, it seems like you're advocating for millions of illegals to be paid, their health care be paid for by taxpayers. Is that wrong? Because your constituents are having to pay for the health insurance of millions of illegals brought in by Joe Biden. Do you condemn that? Is that not a problem? No? Come on, it's a pretty easy question. You can condemn it. You can say yes, I do support it. I mean, your lack of an answer. Oh yeah, call the police on me for asking a congresswoman a question. That's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing.
That's fine.
Now, this is the same woman who years ago incited violence against other congressmen and women, saying you need to get in their face, wherever they are. I should pull that video. I don't have time to pull it right now, but yeah, this is the same person that says you get in their face and you talk to them, who does not want to answer any questions, because the question he's answering is like, yeah, should we be paying for these people on Medicaid? Now, you heard what Karen Kennedy had to say earlier, right? The whole unwinding and how people were taken off of Medicaid during the Biden administration, but she has nothing to say about it now.
No, it's okay. So I mean, can I get a quick answer to that question? Quick answer to that question. Do you support illegals getting taxpayer-funded health care?
You're my hero.
It's incredible. We pay these salaries. The taxpayers pay these salaries, and we can't even get an answer to the question.
Yeah,
See,
let's take pictures.
You tried, but it's not going to work. I'm going to continue to ask questions, bud. Dude, Dude, you tried to call the police. What are you talking about?
Just long
Exactly.
as
You
you
lost. It didn't work. All right, let's do a little bit of an easier one here at this point. How about condemning the violent riots in Los Angeles? Are you willing to do that at least? I mean, come on. We're talking about people that were setting buildings and cars on fire, assaulting ICE agents. Can we do that? Can we do that?
Don't say
All right, condemning. Yeah, don't say anything. Don't say anything. You're right. That's probably not a good idea. Okay, all right. So not gonna condemn the violent riots in Los Angeles. This is amazing. This is the Democrat Party.
As long as you don't impede the flow, just harass that lady. And all these Christian people here, now harass me the same way you just want. We can disagree, but harass me.
Dude, you tried to get the police on me.
The difference between me and her is, I ain't afraid of you. So
What are you gonna
harass me the way you just harassed that lady. And the brother that's laughing about it, harass me. No.
Bro, you need
Don't
to
be a
calm
Christian man.
down.
Harass
You need
me.
to calm
I
down.
dare you. Harass me the way you just harassed
me.
her.
You're the one that just chased me down,
Harass
bro.
me the
Like,
way you
calm
just
your
harassed
shit,
her.
bro.
Harass me.
You'll be okay.
Harass
You'll be
me the
okay.
way you just.
You'll be
I see you
okay.
walking away.
Huh?
Harass me the way you
Dude,
just
you can keep
harassed her.
following me if you want to. You're
I
the one
see
that
you
ran it.
walking
Dude, you ran from all the way over there after me.
I see you walking away.
All right, you can keep walking with me.
I see you walking away.
You can keep walking with me if you want to.
Harass
What are
me.
you talking
The
about?
way you just harassed that lady.
How about you try? What are you even
can ask
talking
any
about?
question you want. Just
I don't know who
harass
you
me.
are. Why the fuck am I going to talk to you?
Harass
Who are you?
me the way you harass
Who
that
are
lady.
you?
Harass me the way you harass
Are you going to tell me who you are? Or are you just going to
Harass
stand
me.
here
I'm
and?
saying what I want.
Okay, so we're not. All right, so this is going nowhere.
Harass
You're free to
me.
keep walking with me if
No, I
you
don't
want
need
to.
to. Harass
Okay.
me.
Well,
I
you
see
just
you
ran
leaving.
from all the way over there, so
I
assuming
see
you want me
I
to.
see you leaving.
Okay, are you going to say anything productive?
I see you leaving.
So you're not going to tell me who you are.
I see you leaving.
Come with me.
You support
Come with me, dude. You just ran like 100 yards to come get me. Like you can keep walking if you want to.
You got no foreskin. Do you have a foreskin, man?
Wow. So this is what it looks like, you guys. It's crazy, in my opinion. I'm like, what are we really doing here? As you saw, there was Roland Martin was there, and she told Roland, like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. I'm like, why can't he? He's part of the media, actually. He's got his own media program. And you want Roland to say nothing? You can't answer these are simple questions that you should be able to answer, Representative Waters, period. But you don't want to do that. So you want to hide. You want to hide in the halls of Congress. You want to hide when it's convenient for you. And you were at the recent civil unrest trying to get into the ICE detention center, and they refused you entry. Saw that video. But you don't want to answer any other questions. You don't want to denounce the civil unrest. Interesting. How these individuals, they want to hide in plain sight. In my opinion, they're hiding in plain sight. But what do you guys think about that? Should she have answered the questions? Because he wasn't harassing her. He was doing what any other reporter would do. CNN, MSNBC. Not that they answer really hard questions while I'm laughing. But, they answer. They ask questions of these politicians. But it's become, and it's right in our faces, a matter of, in my opinion, let's call it political convenience, right? When it's convenient for these politicians to answer questions or to be seen in certain areas, the media will push that narrative. They will push the answer that they're given. But when they are caught off the cuff, no script, right? They don't want to be on record as saying anything. It's like, you work for the American people, period. You're not emperors. And if somebody asks you a question, you need to be ready with an answer. So this lets me know that Maxine Waters needs to be out of office. She cannot respond. She has no response, no answers. So she's not working for us, the American people. She's working for someone. It's just not us. It's just not the American people. So if you do live in the Los Angeles area, you need to find someone to run for her seat and get her out of office. Now, a lot of people might think, okay, well, that's a big task. Do it. Let's go. Stop making excuses for these people being here, destroying our lives, and then want to complain about it for 2 years. She's been there for too long. She's destroyed too much, and she doesn't care. Because if she did, she would be able to answer those simple questions. But she can't, because she does support illegal immigration. She's okay with the civil unrest that happened in Los Angeles, because if she wasn't, she would have denounced it. If she was against these things, it would have been very simple. But her policies that she supports, the people that she supports, yeah. Oh, Maxine, I'm looking forward to you never returning to the walls of Congress again, ever. And a lot of people, like I said, they might think that's a big task. It is, but let's go. Let's get this done. Come on, get off the couch. You can do it. You can do it. Let's go. Let's get off the couch. Now we're going to get into another video by Cash Jordan. You know, he's one of my favorites. And he's got this one is interesting. This one is very, very interesting. And this is, again, about illegal immigration going on.
Greenhouse, which turned into a war zone.
And you see a dark red SUV drive up near the LA Flower District around 1 this afternoon.
Oh, what are they doing?
According to witnesses in that area, they believe there were federal immigration agents inside the SUV. That's when you see a group of people confront the SUV and then throw objects at it. The SUV drives off, and that's when you see the crowd disperse and run away. Shortly after, you see white smoke bombs or tear gas coming from the street and the parking lot. In this next video, you see several workers in the back of a flower shop.
Whoa.
They appear to run and hide inside a refrigerator. Witnesses told us they were hiding because of the federal agents that were spotted in that area. I spoke to immigration attorney Nieto, who told me, sadly, this is a daily reality for a lot of immigrant workers who are fearing.
Well, if they're in the country illegally, they should be detained, but it looks like the criminals got away here. But in this next raid, that's not what happens.
This scene taking place Monday near Joy and Livernois, where ICE officials say they were there to arrest an illegal alien from Honduras who had been removed from the U.S. twice.
Wow.
In fact, officials say the man fled ICE officers earlier that morning.
Okay. I need everybody to really listen to what this reporter said. This person had been removed from the country twice, and they're still here. These are the people that ICE agents are going after. So this whole thing of, oh, they're just going after anybody. No, they're going after people that got due process. They were told to leave the country, and they just don't care. They just don't care. They're just back here like, whatever. So crazy. So crazy.
Their neighborhood being surrounded by officers with assault rifles.
As tensions ran high, activists from Detroit People's Assembly described what went down.
Federal agents got tired of waiting and kind of just busted down the door.
They should have.
Out one of the family members.
Once outside, activists say the person was put into an unmarked vehicle, which then tried to drive away.
Escape with the detainee through a large grass field.
That's when an independent demonstrator decided to move in.
Bad idea.
Hopped in his truck to try to cut off the ICE agents' trucks. He cut off there was no actual impact.
Detroit police were already at the scene because the federal agency requested they be there to keep the peace.
And it's a good thing they were there, because one of these nut jobs just drove their car at federal agents while they had one of these fugitives inside. They could have injured somebody.
Detroit police have now launched an investigation after this demonstrator allegedly interfered with the federal investigation.
As an organization, we don't endorse hopping in your cars to go try to cut off vehicles as they drive away. But at the same time,
we're proud of it.
This is an expression of folks who are incredibly frustrated.
Detroit police took this
They're
demonstrator
totally
into
in favor of
custody,
it.
and another person was also arrested for malicious destruction
Good.
of property of a separate federal vehicle. And that's not all. Detroit police then used pepper spray after protesters entered the street and approached a scout car.
We're not endorsing any, radical action as an organization,
But at the same time, here's how I'm going to defend what the radical activists do. I get it, buddy.
time, if people decide to take that on their own, we're not here to condemn them either.
ICE officials released a statement to Fox 2 which reads in part, "It is a crime to obstruct or otherwise interfere with an ICE arrest, and anyone involved may be subject to prosecution."
As they should be. And it's not like ICE is trying to arrest people who aren't a danger to society.
Well, new federal data reveals exactly who ICE is arresting here in Tennessee.
The majority of people arrested have a criminal record, except for one weekend that turned in the trend on its head. State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner explains.
Deport the worst first. It was a promise made by the Trump administration from the beginning.
As President Trump committed to, we're going to remove the public safety threats and national security threats first. And that's what we're out doing throughout the country.
And in Tennessee, new data from ICE shows that's generally been the case. According to the numbers obtained through a public records lawsuit first released by the Deportation Data Project, about 80% of people ICE have arrested this year in Tennessee have either had a criminal conviction or a pending charge.
Wow.
Republican lawmakers aren't shocked by the stats.
President Trump has indicated that he is after the criminal illegal aliens in the country.
The number of ICE arrests each day in Tennessee has more than doubled.
Now, by the way, I just need people to understand this. What they think, okay, criminal, oh, they murdered, they killed someone. No, criminal is you were deported and you came back. These are the people that they're going after as well. And they've also committed other crimes here in the country outside of coming back after they've been deported. These are the criminals.
According to the data, increasing from 6.8 per day last year to almost 17 today.
17 people
that adds
a
up
day.
to almost 2,700 arrests made so far this year. Almost 45% of them convicted criminals.
That's
almost
crazy.
36% with pending criminal charges, according.
Why are activists defending these people? These people deserve to be in that bus headed out of our country.
But the first weekend of May seems to be an outlier. Tennessee Highway Patrol targeted a predominantly Hispanic area of Nashville with traffic stops, while ICE agents followed along. According to the data, nearly 70% of those arrested statewide during the first weekend of the operation had no criminal record.
Reality here is that all evidence tends to point towards the fact that they racially and ethnically profiled individuals in South Nashville seeking to carry out the role of the federal government.
But Republican Representative Lee Reeves argues the people arrested still broke the law by being in the country illegally. He hopes more law enforcement agencies enter agreements with the feds so local police can have the power to enforce immigration laws.
The ability to identify criminal illegal aliens in our prisons and serve them warrants inside the prisons is a clear win for Tennessee citizens.
So, you know what's interesting about this? In Tennessee, they have very few protests going on because they don't encourage mass illegal immigration. But protesters in sanctuary cities think they've got a way to get rid of ICE once and for all.
Meantime, several SoCal communities are canceling and postponing July 4th celebrations following immigration raids throughout the region. Some officials saying it's being done in an abundance of caution for the safety of residents.
That's not
Others
why they're doing it.
saying that people in their communities are just not in the mood to celebrate America.
There you go.
Former Democrat leader of the California State Senate, Gloria Romero, joins me now. Gloria, what's your reaction to these Democrat cities cutting off their nose to spite their face?
Well, that's exactly what they're doing. And they're basically canceling America.
Yeah.
They're canceling patriotism. I mean, the recent Gallup poll that showed that Democrats, only 36%, basically say they're proud to be an American. What we are seeing in LA County, and there's 10 million of us in LA County, we are basically led by a far left, ultra woke, TDS suffering, fools. And, but quite frankly, they are not going to quash our patriotism and joy for this 4th of July. It won't work.
So it makes sense to me that in Los Angeles, where everybody hates America and would rather riot and protest against America, they would cancel the 4th of July. What's the point of a holiday people are offended by? And you know something? If they couldn't cancel it because of ICE, eventually they'd cancel it because it's offensive to people. But I'm going to tell you what, there are some people who won't be celebrating independence at all because of where they're moving into this weekend.
Everybody we arrest, we need a bed because they're going to be in detention from several days to several months, depending on the case. So, and yesterday, I didn't see the numbers today, but yesterday I woke up, we had 1,600 beds across the nation empty, 1,600. We'll fill them
tomorrow
in a day.
Yeah.
And we're constantly playing this keep up. We got to remove so many people. We can only arrest so many people. This day we got so many beds. So these will give us a little breathing room, give us extra beds so we can target more criminals throughout the country.
Everybody's talking fiscal austerity. You're not a lawmaker. But you do have to deal with budgets. And they look at this line item, and it's one of the biggest ads, hundreds of billions of dollars to run this one facility. And again, people look at it and say, do we really need this? Why do we need to put this much money and emphasis on deporting people?
You know why, Chris? And I'm glad you're asking the question. And I also wanted to pause the video to say, Tata, thank you so much for reposting the stream. You want to know why? Because people don't need to be here in our country. That's why. And if they weren't here, we wouldn't have to spend the money to deport them, right? Like I'm saying, administratively, we need to shut the border down. That's our problem as well. Not just the physical border, the administrative border, which means, by the way, if you come here and you've already been deported, you can never apply for citizenship, period. And in my opinion, when they catch these people, they just need to go to El Salvador or somewhere else. Like, I would send them overseas. Like, you need to go somewhere where you can't come back here, period. But they continue to come back. They continue to come back. And Tata says exactly. It's crazy to me. You will tackle somebody for stealing a stick of gum, but they can come back here ad nauseum, crossing the border and get resources. This is insane. Yeah, we have to spend billions of dollars to keep people off the soil. Yes, because it's become a business. And this is on the Republicans and the Democrats. No one's safe here. This is both of your fault. Both parties. This should have been shut down a long time ago. But here we are.
Entered illegally.
Well, let's compare it to the last administration. Okay, they were putting illegal aliens in hotel rooms.
Yeah.
In New York City for like $500 a night. And that's a...
It was so much more expensive to have the asylum crisis than any of this immigration enforcement. I'm here in New York right now. I know how much this costs. And the idea that we can't afford this, that's just such a ludicrous thing. You can't put a price on safety, but you can put a price on hotel rooms for people who are illegally in America.
For a hotel room. Then they had to pay for food, three meals a day. They had to pay for medical care. They had to pay for attorney access. All these other things were added to that $500 a night. So who knows what the cost was, really? I don't have that number.
12 billion over 3 years for New York City.
Just under 300 is what I was briefed on, and that includes 3 meals a day, full medical, doctors and nurses on site. So you got your food, you got medical, and what's great about this facility, Chris, is there's an airstrip right there. So we can also have additional efficiencies on transportation because we have air transport in Arizona, we got in Texas, we got in Louisiana. Having an airstrip in Florida, we can have all the East Coast states staging in Florida instead of having sending some to Louisiana, sending someone to Arizona for a removal of Central America or to Asia. Now we have an airstrip right there in Florida, which is not only benefits that facility, because we're going to have immigration hearings also at that facility in Florida, which means when they get already deported and we get a plane load, we can simply load a plane right there and take.
Wow, that is going to drive the activists absolutely insane. So you see these tents right here? People will live there temporarily while they're in detention, And in these tents, there will also be a tent courtroom that tells people they can't be here. And then there's an airstrip where the people who can't be here will be brought and flown out of America. That's why it's half the price of a New York City asylum shelter to run this thing. It's so efficient.
You say, look, we're targeting the guys and the women, I guess, also, who are a threat to society. It's 3 out of 4 are traffic, immigration, or other low-level offenses.
Still here
Only
illegally.
1 out of the 4 are serious felons. Is that the right ratio?
No, I don't think it is at all. I mean, the vast majority of people arresting have criminal conviction, public safety threats. But, you know, and people look at, for instance, we arrest some people in county jails in non-sanctuary states, and they have a pending criminal case. So we found them in the county jail, which most likely means they're not a choir boy. So they're pending criminal charges. The left don't want to count that. They're saying, well, they're not criminals, cannot convicted yet.
Yeah.
However, they've been arrested for criminal charges sitting in county jail. We're not going to sit and wait for conviction because a lot of prosecutors will say, look, if you're going to deport them, we just drop the case and deport them and save the taxpayer a lot of money. However, if the prosecutor wants to prosecute them, we work with the prosecutor, do a writ, saying we'll put them back in your custody for prosecution if you guarantee after you're done you release them to us.
But the underlying problem here is that every single person being deported is already here without permission, and coming here without permission, that's one crime, and remaining here without permission, that's another crime. So there's 2 crimes every single one of these folks has committed just by being here in an unlawful capacity. What do you think about that? What do you think about people canceling the 4th of July? Were they going to find a way to do that anyways, and now they're canceling it and they're going to try to blame ICE? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. ICE just raised...
Yeah, and so if you guys get a chance, definitely follow Cash Jordan. He's great. He's on YouTube. But yeah, they literally canceled 4th of July. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that don't celebrate the 4th of July for their own historical reasons, and there are people that do. But that's intense, you know. And here's the thing, it's the reason why they're not celebrating it, right? So you're not celebrating it because you feel like, you know, the United States is patriotic right now. You know, you're mad. You're mad because people aren't supporting illegal activity. You're mad because you're just mad at the president. You're having like a whole fit right now. But we're supposed to capitulate. California is wild. I used to live there. I lived in Orange County, which is actually a Republican county, mostly majority. But it is really wild to me just how they've been acting in California and acting out. You know, patriotism has definitely lost its meaning there. They're okay with illegal activity. They like it. They enjoy it. They like, you know, the city of Los Angeles being, you know, burnt to the ground without any care or consideration. But, you know, a lot of that is they're probably protecting people that are there illegally, and they don't want them to get mixed up into the crowds. But at the same time, y'all, all this civil unrest going on, I can see why the 4th of July might be canceled again. Because y'all don't know how to act. You do not know how to act. They probably get out there, start doing fireworks, start burning things down, looting, and all other kinds of stuff because they don't know how to be patriotic. But I did want to bring up a matter because I just wanted to find out. I was like, you know, is there a punishment for someone evading immigration? And the reason why I brought that up is because recently, and I aired this on another show, CNN was sharing an app where people could evade ICE. Also, the ACLU has told people how they can evade ICE and different, what they call immigrant protection services, right? NGOs, telling people that are here illegally how to evade ICE. And I wanted to say, you know, what is there a punishment? I just wanted to know. And it says helping someone evade immigration and customs enforcement can lead to serious legal consequences under federal law. This includes actions such as physically blocking ICE agents, providing false information, or using intimidation to prevent an arrest, which can be classified as obstruction of justice. Depending on the circumstances, individuals could face misdemeanor or felony charges leading to fines and potential jail time. I mean, what do you guys think? Should networks like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, like whoever is telling people how to do this, the ACLU, should they be under investigation for helping people evade ICE? Because the ACLU, I did show you guys like a couple of weeks ago with the whole No Kings situation, they actually have call-in numbers where if you know if an ICE raid is going to happen, where you can call the ACLU so they can basically coordinate and tell people how to evade ICE arrest. It's really time to crack down on this. So, Pam Bondi, if you're listening, look, you need to start arresting these people. You really need to start doing that part, because these people need to be in prison. If you're going to, protect people that are in our country illegally, and like I said, a lot of these people that ICE is going after, it has been overstated. These individuals were already told they need to deport. They were already deported, and they just came back. And you're thinking, like, why are they so because they can, because they know it's not going to cause them any injury. They don't care. There's no consequence. There's no real consequence to them coming back over here. That's the problem. And so that's why we're spending billions of dollars to get them out of here. I'm tired of my tax dollars. I'm sure you're tired of yours going towards a situation that should be shut down. Shut this down. And if these elected officials keep protecting these immigrants, make an example of them. Oh, I'm calling for it. Make an example out of all of them. Let's put this all the way at the top of Congress. Anybody in Congress calling for illegal people to remain on the soil, you need to go to prison. Stansberry sitting up there talking about No Kings. Jamie Raskin at the No Kings event, where these people clearly support illegal immigration. You were on the stage with the head of the ACLU. Oh, yes, we have it all on camera and tape, sir. You should be in prison for treason. I'm calling for it. I need somebody to grow the brass ones and handle this and get it done. For real. You need to get this done. All right. And so with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll see you guys on the other side. We're going to get into all sides and definitely look at the Wisconsin Supreme Court and how they've overturned the abortion ban from 1849. So with that, we will take a quick break, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. Energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Hey, good morning, guys, and thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And I have some feedback from Tata. She said, I absolutely agree. Yeah, look, y'all need to go somewhere. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for people that should not be here to leave, because you're costing the American people way too much money, time, effort, and energy. I mean, can you imagine the things that we could be getting done right now? Let's just take New York, for example. If New York did not have the immigration problem that it does have, don't you think those billions of dollars could have went to really restoring the issue with homelessness, right? Let's talk about the issue with the subway system, right? Look, we have enough problems here of our own, and illegal immigration is not a help. And I know some people, they have their argument, but like, well, they do the jobs that we don't want to. No, they're doing the jobs under the table that you would never be able to pay an American for, because you've got to pay an American, not $30 an hour, but at least 10 to 12. Yeah, you've got to pay that. And you got to make sure that they have decent insurance. Look, it is what it is. But you've created this horrible ecosystem built on progressive ideas and socialism, and everything's falling apart, and you're wondering why. Well, that's why. Because it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Now we're going to get into this story of the Supreme Court in Wisconsin that's overturned the abortion ban from 1849. Now, the Supreme Court with Roe v. Wade, they made everything, states' rights. So let's just check out what they did. So the Supreme Court invalidated an abortion ban from 1849, settling an uncertainty surrounding the state's abortion laws since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022. The court struck down the ban in a 4-3 decision. Oh, thank you, Dr. C, for reposting. With the court's 4 liberal justices in favor of striking it down, and the 3 conservative justices in opposition. The 1849 state law stated that anyone other than the pregnant woman who intentionally destroys the life of an unborn child could face criminal punishment. Some doctors and clinics stopped providing abortions after Roe v. Wade was overturned because some prosecutors said they would enforce the law. The Wisconsin Supreme Court election of April of this year was the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history, with figures such as former President Barack Obama and Elon Musk involving themselves in the race, and they did. Wisconsin was hot. So this is how the media covered it. The New York Times, which leans left bias, included a statement from the governor of Wisconsin who said, "Today is a win for women and families, a win for healthcare professionals, and a win for basic freedoms in Wisconsin." Fox News, which is right, wrote that the decision is the clearest sign to date of the impact that liberals on the bench could have after they regained the court majority in 2023 for the first time in 15 years. Newsweek, which is centered by, quoted conservative Justice Brian Hagedorn dissent, saying, "This is pure policy making, driven by antagonism toward a law the majority does not like. The end result is that the policies enacted by the people's representatives are gone, scratched out with a giant eraser." Yeah. This is really, really interesting, because, the states have a right to determine whether they're going to have abortion in their state or not. And it all comes back to who's going to pay for it, right? I think that's going to be the bigger question of who is going to pay for this. And if taxpayers don't want to pay for abortions, are they going to have the ability to counter their state legislature and say, I'm not paying for this? I don't care what laws are on the books. I'm not paying for this. If somebody wants one, they're going to have to pay it out of their pocket, cash money. I don't want my tax money going towards this because I don't support this. I don't know if they thought that through. Just because you make a policy in a state doesn't mean that people have to go along with it, especially when it comes to their dollars, especially when it comes to their tax dollars. They don't have to support it. They already had that. I want to say, was it Hobby Lobby, I think, went through that whole situation where with their insurance, they did not support Planned Parenthood or abortions or something like that. And the Supreme Court was like, well, they can do what they want. They're a private business. And they don't have to support that. So basically, you don't have to work there if you don't want to. You know what I mean? But Hobby Lobby does not have to pay for that. And you can't force them to. So yeah, they got the decision. Again, who's going to pay for it? Who is going to pay for it? And we actually have a guest joining us. We're trying to let them get their internet stable. So let me see if it says, okay, we need the mic connected. Let me see if I can add them to the stage. Let me see. Hey, Anthony, when your audio. Hey, great. Thank you. Yes, I can. I can totally hear you. I hope everybody else out there can. If I can hear you, they should be able to hear you. So how are you doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you
doing? Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mighty Men Thursday. So I've been covering an array of topics, of course, but if you could just introduce yourself to our audience, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the community, what you're doing today. I heard you're going to be at an event, so let us know what's happening.
Sure. So, good morning to you, and great show, by the way. Hello to everybody listening as well. And I'm Anthony Baker. I'm a part of the grassroots. I'm in Texas. I was formerly in Oklahoma, but came across a lot of people in the grassroots community a couple of years ago, and have been working behind the scenes on just a multitude of different things. And there is an event today in DC that I will be attending. And it's just to basically raise our voice in regards to this 14th Amendment, the birthright citizenship. And that's what I was in DC for today. So.
Okay, great, great. Because I think, let's see, Sway Me, she's there. I saw some posts from Danielle Carter. She's going to be there, and a few other people. So thank you so much for representing, especially on such an important matter as the 14th Amendment. Because, here again, this is my thing. Our legislatures, they're still trying to hide behind the skirt of the justices and have the justices kind of do their job from the bench, which is not their job.
Right.
So,
and just like, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just like it was a snippet of Maxine Waters that you were showing just a minute ago. And, I was thinking about that as you were showing it. This is one of the reasons why we fight, to have our rights invoked, because our quote unquote representation is not representing us, they're representing others. So, this is one of the reasons why we need to lift our voices in regards to this 14th Amendment, those who it applies to.
Yeah, yeah. It is intense. And another point that I want to bring up to people, because I know a lot of people called Donald Trump racist and he's this, he's that, he hates black people. Then why did he bring up the 14th Amendment if he hates black people? Just saying. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why people say that. I mean, I get people talk about his past, but they fail to realize or to bring up that he was formerly a Democrat, and speaking about Trump, he was a former
Mhm.
Democrat, and he changed his ways too, I guess, by seeing some of the things that we're now starting to see. So I just appreciate him bringing that up. You know, um,
Mhm.
I can't really, I can't really speak to him as far as his racism or whether he is or he's not, because I haven't met the guy. But one thing that I will say is that I'm glad he would at least bring this up and point at those who it applies to. So we don't have anyone else doing it. You know, we have people that are part of the Congressional Black Caucus. They don't say things like that. So whoever's willing to say it, I don't care who it is. I don't care what they look like. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is really important, especially coming to this juncture that we're in right now, because immigration is such a hot button issue. And, as I was covering in the HR1 bill, there is actually a section in part 2 where it specifically talks about taxpayers no longer funding, you know, illegal immigration. Right? So trying to turn that tide, but I think you really had to bring the 14th Amendment up because it's been so abused since its inception, right? With the individual that was a Chinese national and his parents, and see the state, which was in San Francisco, California, they allowed this person to come back. And SCOTUS, in my opinion, they got it wrong because this person it was not a citizen. And the 14th Amendment should have never been used because their parents were not naturalized, which means they were under the jurisdiction of China, not even America, but they allowed it. So it's really bringing up this whole birthright citizenship thing. That's not a law, because Congress never invoked a law or put anything in place. And it would take a convention of states, which are 37 states, in order to ratify the Constitution. And they've just not gone through that. So what are your thoughts?
I'm looking forward to them getting into the details of it, because I think I'm not very sure about this that I'm about to say, but I think the U.S. is like one of the only countries, or one of the few countries that allow, just because a person birthed a child on the soil,
Right.
that they're a U.S. citizen. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And because that, I don't think it was intended to be that way. I don't think it was written to be that way. But we'll get a chance to see once they get through all of the small, minute details. One thing that I can say that I'm seeing though, just from this, I mean, if this could be the case, we will continue to see others who aren't even don't have any ties or any loyalty to this country. We will see their rights put over ours. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, they have no standing here. I mean, how can you enforce laws for a Chinese or a Japanese or some other type of citizen, but not enforce the rights of the citizens that are actually here? I mean, what is the whole purpose of citizenship if that's the case?
Exactly. It nullifies it, right? It completely negates the whole point of what we're doing. And South chimed in. He said that we made some great points, and he said there are 22 countries have birthright citizenship, of about 230 globally. So there are some other countries that will allow it, right? And there are some countries that say, okay, let's say if an American citizen is in, London or whatever, and they have a baby, they can apply for dual citizenship, right? But they have to apply for it. It's not automatic. It just doesn't, you drop a baby and like, okay, they've got all the rights here to the UK as well as the United States. It's like, it's not happening that way. And
Right.
oh,
And
thank
then,
you, Mark, from the soil for reposting. Go ahead.
oh, okay, sorry. I was gonna say too, and then you go, you immigrate new citizens and unhinge the citizenship of those who have already been there. It just doesn't make any sense, you know.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
So
They hang their hat on the whole verbiage of any persons. Well, here's the thing. If it was any and all persons, naturalization would not be in there. If it applied that way, the way they're applying it. Because
right,
it
there would be
says,
no reason for that. Yeah, the
right, exactly. It's
naturalization.
like, why are you putting naturalization in there if you know, if it could be anybody? So, you know, a lot of times when people quote that, I'm like, you're quoting it wrong. More so, it's almost like the birthright citizenship thing is very much like the Roe v. Wade decision, where they wrote policy based on a dissenting opinion that had never really been fleshed out. And in the case of the 14th Amendment, people have just been abusing it. And, you know, President Trump is like, okay, they need to stop abusing the law and using this loophole of quote unquote birthright citizenship, which is based on a case that, in my opinion, is unconstitutional because it falls outside of the the lines of the Constitution. And Congress wrote no law to, you know, undo the 14th Amendment. They didn't. They just left it there. They just figured we wouldn't be smart enough to say anything.
It's a travesty. It really is. And to see like the past administration, um, we watched people from all over flood our borders and come into our country, and these lots of pregnant women. This is what really highlighted it for me, that this was um had to be a plan. Um,
Mhm.
you know, and they came here and gave them everything.
Yeah.
And we watched that, and no
Yeah.
one can, no, none of them, you know. And like I was saying, you know, the Maxine Waters, and you hear them, you hear us just ask basic questions, you know, yes, no questions, and they can't give an answer, you know. So something has to happen here. I'm glad that the 14th Amendment is being raised here, and it needs to be challenged. And for those who are listening, um, we need to speak up about this. This is in regards to our citizenship. You know, does it have any meaning? Does it matter at all?
Right.
If they're able to just flood us with whoever they decide to flood us, because I mean, these are decisions that come from the top. We don't really have any control,
Right.
but yeah, we have to speak up about this. This is a real problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, there are a few groups that I haven't heard of from. I don't know if you have. I haven't seen anything from the NAACP. I haven't seen anything from the Congressional Black Caucus. I haven't seen anything from any members of Congress, House, or Senate regarding the 14th Amendment. Did I miss it, or did you see anything? I'm just checking. Just doing a well
No,
check here. I'm
no,
just doing a
no,
well check.
no.
Okay.
And that's what I mean. I mean, there's no representation out here. It's for all of these other people
Right.
that they don't even know. They don't, you know, these people have just arrived. So um, I really appreciate you doing this show every morning. Um, I was enjoying the show, trying to trying to figure out how to come on, but it's a really
Okay.
good show. I
Okay. Well,
appreciate you having
thank
me on.
you. Oh, no problem. Thank you. Any last words?
Um, no, I think we pretty much talked about it. We beat a dead horse. Yeah, the immigration, it it has to be done in a way that makes this country continue what it's been. You know, it. I mean, if we continue down these paths, it'll be another third world country very soon. Uh, we're losing the culture, we're losing so many different things. So yeah, that's all I had. But I will be there today. I
Okay.
think there's some streaming that's supposed to happen. I'm not sure exactly all the details of that, but I will be in attendance just to speak on behalf of those who can't be there. But I know there are a lot of people who are supporting our effort.
Oh, wow. And thank you so much for, taking the time out of your schedule and life to be there to represent us. Because to your point, this whole non-representation thing, it's time for us to stand up for ourselves. And now it's going to bring that visibility that there is somebody standing up, that we aren't silent, and that, we do have a voice. So thank you so much for being there physically and being the voice for us and, representing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and yeah, thank you again. For doing what you do, taking the time out of your mornings every day. It's a commitment, and
Yeah.
this is how we change things by speaking up for ourselves, by creating whatever outlets that we can create, like your media outlet, and hopefully we can get a lot more people to run, to
Yes.
occupy these seats. Uh,
Yes.
it's something that I thought about, but I'm a knucklehead though, so I'm probably not the one who should be in politics, but I can help in other ways, and
Okay.
I will definitely do that wherever I'm able to help. I will be there.
Well, thank you for that. And we definitely appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
All right, you have a good one.
Okay, you too. Let's see. And South is saying, and you can become a show sponsor also. Yes, I am looking for sponsors of the show and the program to keep it going because, nothing's free in this lifetime. But I definitely appreciate Anthony coming on and representing for us in the DC area. So they are going to be doing a rally for freedmen, and they're also going to be, I think, rallying with SCOTUS, on the 14th Amendment. But I did want to take a little bit more of a look on all sides. There was a story here. Wow. Okay. So, though that's daily bias. There was something else. This is what I wanted to look at. Trump says he'll arrest Mamdani if he doesn't work with ICE. Now, there have been, I guess, different issues and circumstances in regards to ICE, right? We had the civil unrest in Los Angeles with Gavin Newsom. We've had other places around the country that have tried to evade ICE or help people evade ICE. If you guys were here with me earlier in the stream, I showed a video by Cash Jordan where he was talking through how people are being arrested by ICE because they haven't deported and they were, ordered to deport back and forth. Well, Mamdani, he made he made it a point to basically say, I'm not going to go along with ICE and this, that, and the other. I'm like, bro, that's federal. Like, that's federal. People are suffering under this whole illegal immigration thing, and you're supporting criminal activity and you're running for mayor. Like, okay, I need y'all to hear me one more time for those in the back row. This person is running for the mayor of the city of New York, and he supports criminal activity. And at the same time is saying he's going to evade federal. What are we doing? I need this to stop. I need this to stop. So, in summary, the news media is split on whether or not President Donald Trump's comment about potentially arresting New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani is a threat. Now, here's okay. So, Gavin Newsom has said, I think he was talking to Tom Homan. Hey, tough guy, come get me, arrest me, this, that, and the other, because he's been, aiding and abetting criminal activity. Newsom is in his state. I don't think Karen Bass, she didn't threaten him. But now they're positioning Donald Trump as threatening this person. Now, again, I just went over this. Helping someone evade immigration and customs enforcement can lead to serious legal consequences under federal law. This includes such actions as physically blocking ICE agents, providing false information, or using intimidation to prevent an arrest, which can be classified as obstruction of justice depending on the circumstances. Individuals could face misdemeanor or felony charges, leading to fines and potential jail time. Okay, so this could be jail time for this guy. So Trump said on Tuesday that if Mondani acts on his promise to defy current immigration and customs enforcement policies, he'll have to arrest him. And he will. Because if you are trying to evade or tell people how to, and it's not just going to be him, because if it starts with him, this is a whole domino effect. You're going to have to arrest everybody. Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom. But here's the thing. If you arrest them, is that going to make them martyrs? Are they then going to turn around and say, see, he's being a dictator, he's being a king, even though they are clearly in violation of federal law, clearly in violation of it? What does this really play out and look like? He also said he'd be watching Mondani very closely if he's elected, including by looking into his citizenship status, which he's only been a naturalized citizen for 7 years. To me, that's not enough time for him to even run for any kind of office. He should be nowhere near any type of political positioning ever. Mondani issued a response claiming his statements don't just represent an attack on our democracy, which we live in a republic, by the way, but an attempt to send a message to every New Yorker who refuses to hide in the shadows. If you speak up, they will come for you. Okay, first of all, if you're here illegally, that's why you're in the shadows and you shouldn't be here. Actually, you should be deported. You shouldn't even be here. You should not be here. You do not help if you are here illegally. Your illegal status does not help America. I hope those in the back row are hearing me. I hope those that are listening hear me. If you are committing that crime, you have no respect for this country, period. So we don't even want you here. And when I say we, I'm talking about the American people that are law-abiding. We do not want you here on the soil, period. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what country you're from. If you are here illegally, leave. Get out. Period. We're done. We're done. So Mondani, 33, won New York City's Democratic mayoral primary last week, defeating former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Anybody could have beat Cuomo. This dude, I don't even know why he got in the race. How are you going to go from governor to mayor? Like, what? Really? The state assemblyman is expected to face incumbent Mayor Eric Adams for the city's general election in November. I don't know how many people are going to vote for Eric Adams because he's been like a floundering fish out of water, just flailing around. You know, the way he capitulated to the Trump administration, it was the way he did it. It was like, oops, I didn't have enough resources. Oh my, all this illegal, bro. None of this should have been happening in the city in the first place, but you did it because nobody was going to challenge you on it. You went along with it. And then it was like, oops, I'm going to get in trouble. Let me backtrack and let me pivot. You look crazy. And people can't trust you because they know you're just going to go with every tide of the wind that serves your purpose, your selfish purpose of protecting you. You don't care about the city of New York because if you did, you wouldn't be in this position in the first place. How we got here is by your actions. And I do say we because there are American citizens that live in New York. They love New York and they are tired of living in an open air prison. They're tired of it. They're sick of the leadership at all levels, and most of it is Democrats. And I know a lot of people will say, well, where's the Republicans? There are some in there. But they have a lot of rhinos also that are just Republican in name only. It needs to stop. And that's why the Redemption Party is here. So people can run as an independent with a respectable party. That's not about ideology, but is about getting the work done. So check us out at usaredemptionparty.com. Now, this is how the media covered it. Headlines from media on the left mostly labeled Trump's comments as threats, whereas media on the right mostly did not use the term. So USA Today, that leans left bias, also called the comments attacks and stated not cooperating with ICE doesn't violate any law, which they are wrong because I've read it to you. It does. If you impede their investigation at any level, you are interrupting federal agents. Period. If you hide them, if you tell them to hide, this app that CNN was talking about, all of that stuff. But you know what? I'm okay with them going to jail. Pam, Miss Bondi, make it happen. Christine, make it happen. You guys, make it happen. These people are in violation of the law. All of it. All of it. Anybody trying to hide these people that are here illegally, they need to be removed because they're protecting these people with the policies that they've written in these sanctuary states and cities. Hochul, yeah, at the very top, the governor, she needs to go to prison too. And she knows she does. But she's very arrogant and she thinks she's above the law. She really does. Saw her sitting there, with all the other governors stating, well, you put this off on us. This isn't our fault. This is the federal government's fault. No, it's not, ma'am. Because you could have at any time stopped this. You could have stopped it. You didn't have to sign that executive order that was pointed out, but you did. Has your fingerprints all over it. Yeah, it's time for you to go to prison. I'm calling for all of y'all to go to jail. You wouldn't want me to be president because y'all would have been in prison. There would be nobody on the street in an office. You wouldn't have time to write coverage like this and be like, man, she threw everybody else in prison. Who is she going after today? FBI done showed up already at our doorstep. She done arrested 10 more of these people. They are in cupcake prison. Yeah, you be in cupcake prison with an ankle bracelet, but you wouldn't be in office. You would not be there. And then we'd be looking to transition you into, prison for the crimes that you committed against the American people. Yeah, I don't know if y'all want me to be president because, again, you would be in jail. So the outlet also asserted that Mandani is a democratic socialist, not a communist. Anyways, it leads to communism. That's what socialism does, it's sad. The Hill, which is center, joined outlets on the left and some in the center that called Trump's comments a threat. But Washington Examiner, that leans right, focused instead on Trump's defense and its surrounding context. Neither the Hill nor the Examiner used the term democratic socialist. It's insane. So Jay Smooth said, the state of California has gone rogue, turned their backs on American citizens. It's too many illegal immigrant sympathizers in government, city council, and in law enforcement. You are so correct. Thank you so much for saying that, Jay Smooth. And you're right, they are sympathizers. And it's sad because, here's the thing about America. Yeah, it is land free, home of the brave. You can get stuff done, and unfortunately, some people are propped up to get things done and make the rest of us look like we're crazy and lazy. And that's going to start changing. But back to the point, when you come here legally, when you do it the right way, it is a slap in their face to the people coming here illegally, getting all the support from these people in governmental positions. I think that's the biggest slap in the face to anybody who migrated here legally and did it the right way. And as citizens, it is definitely insult to injury because we're being told that we're lazy, because we're not working the jobs in the fields. But guess what? We were. And then you brought in these migrant workers to undermine us, the American citizens, pay them less money, right? And then make it seem like we don't want to do those jobs. No, you shifted people out on purpose. And in my opinion, those companies should have to pay a fine, fire all of the illegal people that are working for them, and then rehire American citizens that are here legally. American citizens. Yes, we are not lazy. And you need to stop saying it. We are resilient. We are fighters. We love our country. We love each other, right? We don't want to die. And we don't want to live in a third world country like Venezuela. Venezuela at a certain point had so much money and wealth and the people were fine. And then the next thing you know, they were eating the animals in the zoo. You know why? Because they got socialism and destroyed a whole country. And then they wanted to send their people over here to do the same thing to us. We are not standing up for it. So any of you congressmen and women at the federal level, House and Senate, you're no longer going to have a job in 2026. I'm telling you right now, you keep thinking that people are going to reelect you. No one's going to reelect you. And everybody's going to be on top of any cheating that goes on. I'm telling you right now, mayors of these cities that are protecting these illegals, you're just going to flat out be sent to prison. You're going to go to jail. So you need to get your affairs in order. Since you're planning on, railing against federal mandate, just, get your affairs in order because you're going to prison. And we're going to start demanding that. Yeah, I think we should do that. Whoever's out there's got a large X account, demand it from President Trump. We demand any and all individuals that support illegal immigration to be sent to prison. This includes all members of Congress, federal and state. This includes anyone at the local level, whether they are mayors, councilmen, aldermen, commissioners, sheriffs, police officers. If you support illegal immigration and you are impeding ICE from doing their job, you need to go to prison. ACLU, that whole organization, done. Anybody at the No Kings event, Pam Bondi, I need you on this. I know I keep calling out your name, but you're the DOJ. You need to get on this and shut this down. We, the American people, we're tired of it. We are tired of being under siege everywhere. We are exhausted. We've had it. But we are not going to give up, and we are going to demand that you do right by us. You have been entrusted to serve the American people. Again, I'm going to say that. You've been entrusted to serve the American people. It is not a right to serve the American people. So, congressmen and women at the federal and state level, stop feeling so entitled. It's not your right to be in office. It is a privilege to serve. And if your attitude is, I can do whatever I want to once I get in here. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to your purple walk. I'm looking forward to it. I need a whole subset division since y'all spending all this money and it's not yet done. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm from Georgia. I know I'm not in your district, but I'm in a district with the Democrats, so they're not going to listen to me. So I want you to listen to me. You need to insert in that bill that any and all persons evading ICE, we need to set up a division for ICE that specifically goes after individuals that are in Congress, House and Senate, that are in any official capacity as a government official or city and state official, right? Like I said, mayors, councilmen, congressmen, commissioners, that they are subject to jail time if they try to impede ICE. We need a whole division of ICE that just does that they investigate those people and they go after them and go to jail. They need to be separate from what ICE is already doing with this illegal activity. And the reason why I'm saying this is because here's the deal. When Trump is out of office, he's out of office. Somebody else can come along and reverse all of this. No, it needs to be an actual law. Since people don't think that they are subject to the laws, you make a law, you have to come home and make a specific division of ICE that goes after any and all officials in any type of capacity where they are senators, congressmen, mayors, etc. That division, what they do is they go after them and they arrest them. Perp walks, let's go. I don't care where you're at. Even if you are running as a candidate and you are trying to impede. Because see, the thing is, these people want to be martyrs. And they want to say, see, look, he's a dictator. See, he's taking me away. He's a dictator. No, he's not a dictator. He's trying to save the American people from you. Because you're a threat to this country. You are not a help. You are a hindrance. And you need to go back to whatever country you came from. Because guess what, sir? You're a naturalized citizen. Your citizenship can be revoked tomorrow. You are not safe. Let me say that again. You're not safe. Let's petition for that too. Whoever's got the big account, you petition for Mondani to be deported, for his naturalization status to be revoked. He is a threat to this country. He needs to be removed forever. Forever. Do you hear me? I'm okay with that one. Anybody else okay with it? All right, we're going to tap on this real quick because I got to tap on it. So, I did not personally spend a lot of time on the P. Diddy case. And the reason why I didn't is because I was like, yes, he's gross. Yes, he's horrible. But if you go after him for what he's done, you're going to have to go after all of them, which they're not going to do, which is crazy. But here we are. So Sean Diddy Combs found not guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking, guilty on 2 other charges. I'm not shocked. My husband and I were talking about it. I was like, I'm not shocked by any of this. Because here's the deal. This is their whole industry. This is what they do. You want to be a singer? This is what you're going to be involved in. I don't care who it is. Somebody taught him how to be this way. Combs came into the industry. Somebody taught him how to be this way, being in the industry, to do this to people. And there are still people that this is happening to. But those individuals, they're not going to prison. They're not having, their lives turned upside down. They're not. But they're doing and committing the same kind of crimes. What you going to do? Congress, where you at? Huh? You going to step in and make sure these people are protected? No, you're not. Because these are the same people that you invite to your events to speak for you. These are the same people that put money in your pockets for your campaigns. I don't want to ever hear from you again. Ever. And we know who these individuals are in Congress that take the money from these entertainers. Yeah, Obama was very associated with P. Diddy, by the way. So hip-hop star Sean Diddy Combs has been found guilty of 2 of the 5 charges he faced in his criminal trial and could face up to 20 years in prison. The details: Combs was found guilty on 2 different counts of transportation to engage in prostitution and could face up to 10 years on each charge. He was acquitted of 2 sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion charges and 1 racketeering conspiracy charge. So for context, Combs was arrested and charged in mid-September in Manhattan. The verdict comes after 6 weeks of testimony involving 34 witnesses from prosecutors and none from the defense. The jury, consisting of 8 men and 4 women, convened for just over 2 days before reaching their conclusion. So this is how the media covered it. In coverage immediately after the news broke, outlets penned headlines differently in terms of whether they highlighted that Combs was found guilty of 2 charges or not guilty of 3. So Fox News, that's right, biased, and some others prominently noted that he was found not guilty of racketeering and that the charges he was convicted of are less serious. The Daily Mail, which is right, wrote the amount of prison time Combs could face in its headlines. He might not go to jail. And if he does go to jail, it's going to be like Martha Stewart jail. It's not going to be prison. Please. Yes, I know he's a black man. Yes, I know all these other things, but let's be serious. He is not going to prison. Stop that. Stop it. But I honestly, I knew he was never going to be convicted of anything. And he'll be a social pariah for all of 5 minutes in the proverbial, atmosphere of entertainment that we know it. And then he'll be on somebody's podcast. And then before we know it, he'll be, doing something else, or he'll just go off into the abyss and they'll just talk about this annually for whatever reason. But he's not going to serve any serious time. Yeah, he could be up for 20 years, but I highly doubt he serves any of it. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Because here's my thing. Where's everybody else doing this? He's not the only one doing this in the entertainment industry. And again, Congress isn't going after it saying, hey, we need to protect people. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is happening. No one's outraged. They're just all sitting back eating popcorn like, wow, this is great entertainment. Seriously? This is horrible. And it goes on every single day. Every moment somebody's raped in the entertainment industry, men and women. And this is just music, acting, everywhere. And nothing happens. Nothing happens to these predators that are the CEOs, that are the producers. Yeah, the people in powerful positions within the entertainment industry, they are the abusers. What are you going to do, Congress? You're going to protect people? You're going to create laws so people are actually protected? No, you're not. You're trash. You're not going to do a thing because you never do. And with that, we're going to end on a more positive note. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys back here on Monday. If you celebrate the 4th of July, happy 4th. If you don't, enjoy your weekend with your families and your friends and have a great, great time. And so thank you again. Oh, so come and get him in real quick. He says, I saw on TikTok the other day where an immigrant who was taking the oath to become an American citizen, he said when it was time to verbally say the oath, he did not open his mouth to say the oath out loud. So he feels has no allegiance to America. How many of them believe they played the system by not speaking out loud? U.S. oath. Probably millions. Yeah. They have no respect for our country. And that's sad. So sad. Oh, Jay Smooth, thank you so much. He said we had a great show today. Thank you. And with that, we're going to end the stream. You guys have a great one. See you Monday.